Andrew Wiggins in this.
I don't know if you are them, but I know that I am not.
Well, I know that I am the most God-gifted player on this team. I know that I am the most talented player on this team, even if my performance may not show it sometimes.
You don't think that?
Deep down, I want to think that.
But you do play hard.
I do. Don't patronize me. Don't. Just. Jimmy Butler, Bomani Jones, is the first name because the Timberwolves have canceled practice today after the chaos of yesterday, which included Butler yelling at Minnesota's GM Scott Layden, "You effing need me, you can win without me." And he also shouted about Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. They ain't bleep, they soft. Let's listen to the man himself.
This is so funny. This is the truth. I didn't go at those two. One of them came at me.
Which one?
Cat came at me. We're up in practice. He says, anybody can get this work. I said, do it to me. That's all that I said. I said, every time I get switched out onto you, you pass it. Am I being tough on him? Yeah. Yeah, that's who I am. But I'm not the most talented player. Who's the most talented player on our team? Cat. Who's the most God-gifted player on our teams? Wiggs. Wiggs got the longest arms, biggest hands, can jump the highest, can run the fastest. But like, who plays the hardest? Me.
This is amazing. Where do you want to start?
Basically, Jimmy Butler said, no more music from the suckers. No more music from the suckers, right? He has declared, I play for a team full of suckers. Because the only way that you can put yourself, as he did reportedly in this practice, is if you believe that you yourself are surrounded by suckers. He's trying to get out of there in large part because he believes that he is surrounded by suckers. And I'm trying to figure out where to go after that because there's so many different places we can go.
But think about the image of Jimmy Butler walking in late.
An hour late.
Walks in late. And then he says, you only got me for an hour. You, and you. And he points to Luol Deng and James Nunnally and Jared Terrell, who's a two-way contract guy. Exactly. Those guys come on the floor. And my favorite detail, Bo, is that the gym, besides Jimmy Butler, is mostly quiet. It is that man with a megaphone, and Karl Anthony Towns, to your description of alleged suckerishness, doesn't confront him, does not go back at him. The very thing that Jimmy is daring him to do, he does not do.
Well, hold on. Apparently, one of the reports was that they huddled up at the end of practice, and Karl Towns was talking about how people need to learn to keep their emotions in check. Is this your king? Right? Like, I feel like what Jimmy Butler did, this is seemingly partially the plan, right? But even if it wasn't, he basically looked at the two of those dudes and were like, are these your kings, right? Because the question I feel like Minnesota has to ask themselves, aside from trading Jimmy Butler, which they should have done already, right?
Agreed.
After Jimmy Butler is gone, you have built your team around these two dudes, and not now one of them said a word when Jimmy Butler walked in and punked the whole house.
That said, my other favorite detail is that at the end, Andrew Wiggins did give him dap by hand.
Yes, he did.
He sort of maybe got what Jimmy was trying to go for, but man, this dude, Karl Anthony Towns, is 22. He should not be a lost cause, but at this point, after you see how people are talking about you, Karl Anthony Towns, you need to come out here and say something to the people because your image is so ruined right now.
It's too late. He didn't need to say something to the people. He needed to say something to that dude right there. When that dude, who was about 5 inches shorter than Towns, or somewhere in that zone, was like, I'm going to guard you and I'm going to shut you down, and you're kicking the ball back out. Whoa, no, it can't be that when he's beating the first team with dudes off the street and the carcass of Luol Deng.
Yes.
No. This is all bad. Now, this is my favorite part of this. Jimmy Butler, again, in this interview with Rachel Nichols, with what his read is that Thibodeau thought about all of this.
Let's watch that.
But I went into practice today and I competed. And right now, I know Tibbs. He's in there by himself. He locked his door and he's smiling. He's laughing. Tibbs, I know you, man. I know you. He's like, yeah.
You think he's happy with what happened today?
Yeah. Tibbs like me. He likes confrontation. He may not tell y'all. He likes it.
And see, the thing to me is he's right about that. And I say that he's right about that because Stan Van Gundy did a report on SportsCenter that basically said that a source told him it was the best practice that they had had. Because quietly, it seems clear that Thibodeau thinks he's coaching a bunch of suckers too. And he's like, Jimmy, man, don't leave me alone here with these suckers. And I don't mean to call them suckers. I just need them to give me a reason to believe that they're not suckers.
People who display the behavior of suckers. And this does remind me now, right? Because there is some gladiator to Jimmy Butler yesterday in practice, but there's also kind of some George Costanza. The guy is driving around the parking lot with the World Series trophy attached, daring them to get rid of him. And now we're hearing, Shams is reporting that a players-only meeting has been held. That maybe...
Who called it? Yes. Jimmy Butler called a players-only meeting.
What? I don't know what to make of this. I know that in that interview he said that, he thinks it's fixable, but he doesn't think it will be fixed. Is he now resigned to the fate of the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Well, hold on. He told them, he was telling them in this meeting that he is in fact willing to compete with them. He will compete with them. But then if that happens, if these dudes don't bring themselves up to the level that Jimmy Butler has determined that they need to be, what is this going? Why does he still play for them?
It is bizarre to me. I remember interviewing Jimmy Butler in 2010, right? If people don't understand how serious he's about this. Quincy Pondexter, the immortal Quincy Pondexter, knocked Marquette out the year before. Jimmy Butler was guarding him. Jimmy Butler took a JPEG, printed it out, hung it on the back of his dorm room door and said, never again. He's hyper-competitive. Is he this competitive to want to play with these guys?
Here's those guys. What are y'all gonna do? Like, to me, this is not about Jimmy Butler. This is about the dudes that let it happen. Next name is the Eagles. Struggling 2-3 Super Bowl champs play a desperate 1-4 Giants team tonight. Pablo, which one of these teams needs this victory the most tonight?
I mean, my instinct, because the Giants lost on that 63-yard field goal by Graham Gano, that it's the Giants, they need this, but part of me now believes that the Giants need to do the thing where they embrace tanking without actually saying it out loud. Because the mistake the Giants made, Bo, and I think we can both agree on this, is that Saquon Barkley is not the guy to make them a playoff team in the present. And if that's the case, then that means Eli Manning probably isn't long for this team either. He is playing terribly. So, do you try and get that number 1 overall pick, get the kid from Oregon, get your quarterback, treat this as a lost season because they're still in this terrible division, but should they want to be? That's where I don't know if they should.
The problem is this isn't the NBA where you can just magically say Saquon Barkley is out with flu-like symptoms for the next 3 months. Like, you don't have that option in football.
That is true.
You can't do it in this way, and you can't tell guys who are literally risking their lives in order to do this job that we're trying to lose. Now, I agree with you. The Eagles need this win more than the Giants because what in the world are the Giants actually playing for? Right now, the Eagles are at a place 2-3. I think the percentage likelihood of making the playoffs there is something around 21%. Like, they are officially up against it trying to get there. That being said, they play in a division with a bunch of mediocre teams. But if the Eagles go down 2-4, and that is in part because they lost this game to the Giants, we cannot look at them as a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
No, if they go 2-4, at that point, I think we realize that a lot of the things that had to break right for this team just didn't, and it's a lost cause because they have some good things going for them. Their pass rush in terms of pressure on the quarterback, still, I believe, the best in the league per Pro Football Focus. There are many reasons why this team, which scored 24 points 12 times during the regular season, has done it 0 times this season, but should be able to do it against this team. But yeah, if they lose to the Giants,
You're off.
I'm off. I want to be on, but they're making me off. Last name, Hugh Jackson. The Browns coach was asked about alleged Steelers fan Snoop Dogg visiting Cleveland's practice yesterday, and Hugh didn't seem like he's really here for Browns bandwagon fans. Let's watch.
No, Snoop is, I've known him for quite a while. He's been around some other places I've been. I won't say what teams they were, but at the same time, there are going to be a lot of people that want to come be on this wagon when the wagon gets rolling, and we're going to circle the wagon. And I know that because I didn't see any of these people for the last 2 years. I'm still the same guy. Still knew all these people prior to this year.
What do you make of Coach Jackson there?
All right, I don't feel like the fact that you didn't see them before and see them now is an indicator that they're jumping on the bandwagon. I think that says more about the fact that y'all were a bunch of scrubs and losers, and nobody wants to be seen hanging out with a bunch of scrubs and losers. The other thing I ask here is, Snoop, how is he so good at this? Because we don't look at him in the way that we look at Drake about these things.
Correct.
We don't view him with the same level of hostility for the fact that he's around all these teams. I myself personally need to know, was he already in Cleveland? Because I'm not going to Cleveland to hang out with the Browns.
Sometimes I get emails in my inbox. It's like secret personal sale. Dear Pablo, 60% off. And I'm like, wow, that is for me. That is Hugh Jackson here, because here is the list of football teams that Snoop Dogg has come by or worn hats or jerseys for. Buccaneers, Cardinals, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, Jaguars, Packers, Patriots, Raiders, Ravens, Seahawks, and Steelers. I don't know how special Hugh Jackson should feel about this. All I know, Bo, is that I don't know if he's in a position to turn down any fans, let alone the bandwagon.
Yeah, let me tell you something right fast. Yeah, the Buccaneers, Cardinals, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, Jaguars, Packers, Patriots, Raiders, Ravens, Seahawks. Yeah, there's certainly a bandwagon element to him wearing those hats. The Steelers, it's about something deeper.
It is.
That means
I want to be clear about that.
I just want to let you know that means something a little bit more. He wore a Pittsburgh jersey in the Gin and Juice video, and I'm just here to tell you, there's a deeper kinship and relationship to that particular piece of garb. But no, Snoop will show up and he'll ride for anybody. He'll rep for anyone because he's as beloved as any man in America who saw that coming in 1993.
You can listen to this show via podcast. Bomani's too. I also